of the United States that is in the most educational student loan debt is Black women, and the most educated sector percentage wise are Black women. So we're highly educated and highly swamped in debt. And my niece is going to college. She's graduating 2 years early and graduating this year. And so she's like, well, she's too young to even go to high school when she gets out of college. I mean, out of high school. But she doesn't want to go to college. She wants to go to high school. I told all my nieces and nephews, if you can, get a trade, because can't nobody take that away. But the second thing is to learn as much about business as you can, even if it has to be through mentorship, if it has to be through the Black Business School or, the programs that are offered there. You want to get as much of a background, and your kids need as much of a background, because entrepreneurs are the ones that won't miss out. Entrepreneurs are the ones that can come up with the ideas on how to keep making money when we're quarantined and when we're having to do this, curfews and, self-containment and social distancing. The entrepreneurs are the ones that are still making the money. The people whose boss laid them off and sent them home might have been an hourly worker. Even if it was $100 an hour that they're making, they're not making it while they're sitting at home.
Yeah. Well, when I was in Atlanta this week, I was in the company of a lot of young Black millionaires. It was a part of a mastermind with Lamar Tyler out of Atlanta, and to join that group, you got to spend. They had to spend money just to even be in the room. And these were regular Black folks. These wasn't no bougie Negroes or nothing. These were like people just like you and I, who 3-4 years ago they were working for somebody else. A lot of them were first generation entrepreneurs. Some of them had graduated from school. Some of them hadn't. And all of them had achieved at least enough business success to be able to be a part of the mastermind. And what you would notice is that there was a difference in terms of the way they sort of talked to each other and did things. Like they did a lot of the Black people stuff. We had the parties and the barbecue and all that stuff. But there was also like a type of energy there. First of all, it was very collaborative and very positive. Everybody wanted to know what everybody was doing, so you could figure out, okay, maybe I could partner with this person, or maybe this person could help me get to that next level. So that was one thing I noticed. The other thing was that when you talk about like going to hair school, a lot of us look at that as a bad thing, but there were probably about 8 or 9 Black women that were there who all had hair and beauty products. At least half of them made over $1 million last year. Like at least half of them made over $1 million last year, and they were it was, and these were regular sisters. These were not there wasn't nothing about them where you could even guess that they were making that money. The only thing that separated them was you could tell, like when they told you about their hair care product, they knew exactly how to give you the elevator pitch and tell you what the product was, who it's for, and why it's unique. Right. And so I would almost say that, when we think about education, like you're talking about, Nicole, I think the next step for the Black woman, and Black women are figuring this out, and men are figuring it out too, for their own reasons as well, is that the next step is to figure out, okay, you want to invest heavy in education. That's fine. But what does education really mean? Education don't always mean going to college and spending a bunch of money or going deep in debt.
No.
Education
we
means...
talked about this. I hate to cut you off. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
We talked about this offline. You all didn't get the privilege of hearing it. It was a couple of days ago. But Dr. Watkins and I was talking about, he says it all the time, you can go pay these white universities and, end up with some debt and you might get a piece of paper. But honestly, I was taking entrepreneurship classes working on my MBA, and I was taking even my law classes. I had legal professors, law professors who were highly educated and they knew everything by the book. But when it came time to, actually do it, they were like, oh no, I know about it. I know the theory. I know how it's supposed to work. But they couldn't say, my experience was this. I am a business owner and the book says do it this way. And so when I was in my MBA classes, I had already had a taste of entrepreneurship and had been in corporate America. And so I could say, well, the book says this, but at the Fortune 50 company that I was working at, that's not how this works. And in my own business experience and my small business over here, that never works. So yes, it sounds good on paper. Yes, the theory is great, but a lot of times when you go to those institutions, you're paying money and you'll get a piece of paper and you'll get the theories and the case studies, but to actually have gone through it or been around somebody, or in my case as an attorney and a business coach, help people when it went wrong because they listened to the professors. It's a total different world. So yes, education means something way different now.
Yeah, well, the new business school to me, and I say this as an educator because I taught in a business school, so I know what the old school business schools give you. The new business school to me, for the black man and for the black woman, is more about social groups, masterminds, investment clubs, things like that, where you're around other people that are wealth builders. Because what'll happen is that when people come together, they form an economy. You don't see it happening, but you do. You create collaborations, opportunities. You supplement each other. So, for example, we're sitting there, and I'm sitting there thinking, God, I got this great idea, but I don't have enough money to pull it off. Well, maybe I'm talking to somebody who's got some extra cash, and they're looking to put their money to work, right? Or I got this product and I don't have a customer. But somebody might say, well, I got customers. I just don't. I need something to sell to those customers. So I get, for example, with with Fly Nubian and Queen. I'm a partner with Fly Nubian and Queen, and I was there because I wanted to meet the black women that had great hair care and beauty products that were looking for black women to market those products to. Because I believe black people should own the hair and beauty industry when it comes to what's being sold to black people. Like, it don't make no sense other people own this industry. So here's the thing. I have my strength. I know that there's a lot of black women that are connected to what I do and they follow me, but I don't know anything about hair. I don't even have any hair, but they know hair. That's their passion. So I said, look, you've already created the product. You refined the process. I've got the audience. You let's lay it out there in front of them and let's see if they're interested in buying from a black-owned beauty product or beauty supplier as opposed to whoever they were buying from before. So ultimately, business is a lot like forming families or relationships, or like dating or friendships. If you understand the social side, the networking side, then you can get a lot done in business. That's why I recommend reading George Frazier's book. I think it's called Success Runs in Our Race. George Frazier, who created FrazierNet, is the networking guru of America. And when you form those relationships, with people, what happens is that you just would be amazed in terms of what sorts of opportunities just sort of fall in your face. So join a group. Don't do it all by yourself. Business is not designed to be a one person type of operation where you just out here by yourself and doing it all by yourself. Join a group, a club.
And you're limited too. You're limited to you.
Yeah. You can't be everything. You can't play offense and defense and quarterback and wide receiver and defensive
And
back
coach and get the water.
and coach and water boy at the same time, right? You need a team. So figure out who your team's going to be, who your people going to be, and what's your network going to be. Like, if you have a good quality network, when they used to say, I used to hear people say stuff like that. You ever hear people say, Nicole, like, your network is your net worth? And I used to think that was so stupid. I didn't get that. It didn't make sense to me.
I've said it before. One of the best things you can do for your kids too is to teach them how to network and form relationships, because a lot of times it's not the best person that gets the deal. It's the person that's networked. The person that somebody knows that they have this idea or they have this capability, or maybe they might be a good person in this spot, and they get the chance, they get the opportunity, they get the backing.
Yeah. Well, but also I think for me, networking was not appealing, not just because I was more of an introvert. I still actually am. I just got used to talking to people because I got to do it all the time. But also I didn't like it because I felt like networking meant I had to go hang out with a bunch of white people. I don't know. Like really because here's the thing, like
choose your community.
Yeah, right.
In this day and age, there's enough of us who are successful that you can choose who your community is.
I agree with that now, right? But for a long time, there was a stereotype that black people didn't want to start businesses. Black people weren't interested in money and wealth. Black people didn't, and so basically people would say, oh, well, go to this conference and network, and I'd be around a bunch of people I had nothing in common with. And I think so when business becomes more social in the black community, that's when you'll start continuing to see more economic prosperity popping out of that. So like when I went to this networking session or this mastermind with all those successful black business owners, first and foremost, everybody was forming friendships. And then what happens is like, okay, let's talk on Monday, and we're gonna talk business on Monday, but that's because we were hanging out and partying on Saturday. So don't underestimate that part of it. Join a club, join a group, be a part of something. That's what really gets you ahead. I'm done talking.
Somebody had asked. I'm finished too because I promised.